In this screen recording, dated June 13, 2022, and construction of user shares for the company, I hope to include the step-by-step procedures involved in the creating and managing of user shares and their permissions by a series of importing files of gradual increasing size and complexity. The series of files not only incrementally increase the number of users, but incrementally expand the way these users are granted permission to these shares. These increasingly expanding import files have been composed and tested to work to provide a total of 6 primary users and 12 secondary users, which are repurposed to function strictly as shares to be accessed by the primary users according to the settings given in the last import file.
So I'm switching over to the Excel workbook that's got several sheets. For example, shares 01. No, stages 01. I'm looking at. Notice that it's got 8 users. The first 2 are primary users, the ones in yellow. The next 2 are shares that belong to those users with the same name. And then the light green and the dark green are extra shares or extra folders, which certain users have access to and certain users don't. So they're like group folders. And those are the ones I have to go through and specify the access. Like out of the 2 shares that I have up there at the top in yellow, what access rights do they have to the shares in green? So I am using this spreadsheet to compose a file that I use to create users and shares. It's only designed to create users actually, but I'm repurposing certain users, making them like shares. The ones that have an associated password, it's in color brown. That's the second column. It's the parameter for passwords. So those users that have a password called password, they're like dummy users. They're not really users. They're repurposed to be folders, special folders, you could say. So that's the second column, column B for the passwords. Column A are the users, but the first 2 users, the ones in yellow, are the actual primary users, the ones that really will be assigned to actual persons. And so the other users, like the ones in orange, or kind of an orange color, the ones in light green and the ones in dark green are users that have been repurposed to be shares or folders instead of users. And that's why nobody's going to get those assigned to them, because their password is password, and the data they have access to is blocked. It's blocked in column, you see the column on the far right that's orange colored? let's see, A, B, C, D, E. Wait a minute. No, A, B, C, D, E, F. Column F. That's the column that I have to make sure that those users don't have access to any other user, even themselves. They're denied access to every other user, even themselves, making them a useless user, useless to themselves, but useful to others. Why? Let me tell you why. Oh, I just realized something. I'll tell you later. Okay, so yeah, that's the column that's access denied. So that's why it has a lot of items. The items are separated by colons, the punctuation colon, the character colon versus semicolon or comma. The syntax for this file is it requires a colon to separate items within a column. So you can see column F has row 2 through 8 has each cell has about 8 items, and each item is separated from the other item by a colon. That means that if a user using the username given in row 3 through 8, any of those, and uses the password and gets signed in, he won't be able to see anything because all the folders are denied to that person signing in that way. So by doing that, I in a sense I have disabled that user to do anything. So instead of being a user, I am actually using the space created by creating that user. Because when you create a user, this operating system automatically creates a share by that same name. So for example, the first person is Alvaro underscore user. When I create that user, it also creates a folder by that same name. See, I gave that folder 20 gigabytes, which is actually written as 20,000 megabytes, :0:0. That's what I'm looking at in the, let's see, G. Column G, that's the column for quotas, how much space that person gets. And I may change it to assign everyone 20 gigabytes. I put 20 megabytes on the others, the ones in darker gray, but I think I'm going to make them all 20 gigabytes because I just realized a mental error in my part. Because if I give the other shares 20 megabytes, then they'll be useless to the actual users. If they want to place documents in those folders, they would get filled up. So I'm going to make that modification in the file. So here's how I copy and paste that from one corner to the other, from cell A1 to cell G8, I think it is. Yeah, there. From from there to there, I hit Control C, and then I switch over to Notepad or something like that. I'm going to open up Notepad. Notepad, correct? And there I opened the Notepad. Then I insert the what I just copied. By doing Control V as in Victor. And there it is. And that's the plain text of what I was creating in the spreadsheet. Because when you copy and paste it into a Notepad, it leaves out any formatting. It leaves out the colors of the columns, and the space between the columns is well, actually in the Excel spreadsheet, between columns in the Notepad, in the text version of what I paste, it places a tab character. And if I leave I just closed it. But that's okay because I had already saved it in another time. I will show you where I saved it. It's right there, right? It's the one that ends with stage -01. That's the same information. I just gave it a name, stage 01, because I'm gonna create 5 more like that, but each one gets bigger than the previous one. Each one has the same information as the previous one. And the only difference is that each one is increasing by a new user, usually, in the user's share folder. But there is one stage between stage 3 and stage 4 where instead of creating a new user, I create a new special folder that I call, I think I call it HR, for Human Resources. Let's see, what stage am I on now? I'm still in stage 01. I'm gonna go over to look at stage 02. I may have to speed the video up a little bit. I think I'm gonna click on stage 02. So while I'm doing something else, the problem is there. I did it because I don't know what I'm saying. I thought I had recorded what I was saying, but I didn't have the mic on. So I'm re-recording what I was gonna say. I went back to stage 1, stage 01. I put a 0 because I'm gonna have more than 9 stages. So I guess I want to keep them in alphabetical order. So I have to do 01 all the way to 09, and then stage 10 is 10. Because if I put stage 1 without the 0, and then when I create stage 10 for 10, it'll put that between stage 1 and stage 2 when you sort it in alphabetical order. So That's why I have a 0 in front of the first 9 numbers. So I'm looking at stage 01 right now, and I think I'm trying to figure out how to go from stage 01 to stage 02 using the keyboard, and I forget how. I had to look it up. Now I forgot it how to do it again. I think uh, wow, what was that noise? So I'm not sure how to switch from one sheet to the other with keystrokes. Well, so I open up Google and type in how do you do that. So I open Google up and search for the keystrokes needed to do that, if I recall correctly. Let's see. So then I see, oh yes, now I know how to switch back and forth between sheets. So because I want to be able to show you the difference between one stage and the other. Like this is stage 02. Oh, I think this stage 03. Stage 04, 05, 04, 03, 02, 01. So I'm trying to show that when I go from one stage to the next, there's a minor change. Well, of course, this stage 01 is the most basic, the simplest. And then stage 02, I keep the same information, but I've add a new user and a new share folder. They're both users, but the first user is the primary user of the new users that I add. One of them is used as a primary user, and so I put it in the group of yellow users, because that user that I add is all those users are going to have actual passwords that nobody knows supposedly except the administrator and the user. So there they are. You can see them, the ones in yellow with their passwords. But then, in addition to creating those primary users, I create an equal number of users that are actually called shares. Or in other words, they are going to be used as folders, and they're going to belong to those users. So they're going to be private to the particular users. For example, the first user is Alvaro _ USR. He's going to have his very own private folder. Oh no. His private folder is going to be Alvaro user. So the name of the folder that Alvaro has that nobody else can see is going to be Alvaro user. it's going to have however many gigabytes I want to give him. But then Alvaro share, that's the one in not there, but those are other kinds of shares and folders. The ones in green, light green or dark green. But the folders or shares in a beige color. It's a what kind of color is that? Tan. Mm, that's a pretty color. It's not. It's, maybe I should make it a little bit different. It's kind of. It's, it's not gold. It's not orange, and it's not pink. It's somewhere in there in between. See, it's the color right below the yellow. Let's see. Row 5 through 8. Those are the shares that belong. Each one of them belongs to a corresponding user, right? So the reason why I give it a name ending in underscore sh is because I want them to be shared to all others. All others get to see what's in that share. That's why they're being shared. However, they're read-only shares. That means those shares have an owner. That means that the other people that look at what's in that folder cannot delete or edit. They can download, but they can't delete, edit, or add to that folder. The only person that's allowed to make changes is the person that share refers to by that name. So when you see Alvaro underscore share, you know that it belongs to Alvaro, and so Alvaro is the author of the content of that folder. He gets read-write permission, read-write access to that folder. Everyone else gets read-only access. So I I give the permissions of those shares in the in 3 columns, in particularly in the, let's see, A, B, C, D, E, F. Column D, E, and F, those are the represent the parameters that contain the shares or folders that a particular user has access to. And so he has access to them in 3 different ways: read-write access, read-only access, or access denied. In other words, no access, prohibited. So that's what I have there. So let's see. Yeah, I was while I was talking, you could see that I was switching back and forth between sheets and explaining things. Like right now, I've clicked on an example of a read-write access. So I'm saying that user has read-write access to those shares separated by colons. It looks like there's 4 shares. There's a share of the same name. There's a share ending in sh, and there's 2 other shares, looks like. And let's see. It looks like I'm looking at. Well, I moved to the last column. That's the last column. The column in gray is column H, and that's the quotas. So I just realized something about that column. I think I'm going to make them all 20 gigabytes as a quota for everyone. Because whatever you set for it, that's how big the share is going to be. But I'll have to think about it and see if it works. It should work that way. So right now I'm looking at column G. No. F. Wait a minute. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The 7 columns, 7 parameters. So F. Oh, so I was wrong. I was saying H, column H. Sorry to confuse you. There's not going to be a column H. So now I'm going to switch over to read what I'm going to do with the
file. I will demonstrate that to get 6 users and 12 shares, this process will involve the importation of a sequence of several import files in stages, with each stage involving the importation of a file that is incrementally increased in size and complexity from the previous file, oftentimes increasing by 1 user and its share, but sometimes increasing by 1 special folder and its share. I hope to go through these stages with each stage check to see that it produces a correct result. The number of stages involved consists of 6 stages. Prior to June 6, 2022, I had been able to confirm that running the first 4 stages worked to give me so many users and so many shares without anomalies and without any simple mistakes in spelling. On June 6, I was able to get another 2 more import files with increasing complexity to work correctly, for a total of 6 stages, giving me 6 users and 12 shares. I now wish to compose another 2 or 3 more import files of increasing complexity to increase the number of users and shares, perhaps by 1 user per new import file, each file making a new stage. In the names of the users and shares, I am making a simplification towards using all underscores, instead of a mixture of underscores and dash hyphens, for which I had my reason, but now I see that using all underscores will help in being able to quickly select the complete name. Therefore, I will replace wherever there is a dash hyphen with an underscore in the names used for users. The reason being that I am better able to select the whole name with a click of a mouse when the name has an underscore. Now I will proceed to sign in to my cloud dashboard. My cloud and
Okay. What is it that I'm gonna do? I think I'm going to. I kind of stated what I'm aiming to do. I've created import user list text files. The first one being I call it stage 01, and then from that I create stage 02, which is a little bit more complex. It's more complex because I add another user and another share to the mix of 2 users and 6 shares. So it goes from that to 3 users and 12 shares? I have to think about that. No, I think it goes from 3 users to 7 shares. Something like that. Okay, now I'm going to sign into my cloud to the dashboard. So there I have the username, that's the EWI admin, and I submitted the password, or no, I'm going to, okay, I got the password in, it was saved, so I just click on it and it logs me in, and there I show you that I've signed in. So I'm going to read it out loud.
I have signed into MyCloud, and now I will move through a few of the major pages to show what I have by clicking on the tabs. From left to right they are Home, Users, Shares, Apps, Cloud Access, Storage, Settings. The most important condition to note is that Users is starting with a clean slate, except for one user called UEadmin, and Shares is starting with a share called Public that seems to be automatically created and cannot be deleted, it seems.
Okay.
Now I go to the Users page to import the user's file named userstage01.
Uh-oh. I have to correct that name. I since changed the name of that stage01 file. Instead of calling it users stage01, I'm calling it something else. Now I'm going back to showing you, confirming to you that under users, I have only one user, and that user is the admin. So when that was created automatically, so the admin is not only a user but works. Oh no, it doesn't work as a share. But over here in public, what I could do, I just realized, is I could make public, move it from public, make public private. So I clicked on off, so it's no longer public. So public is no longer public. And then when I scroll down, I see something interesting. It becomes accessible by the user, EWI admin. So when I click on EWI admin, I have access to public. So what I can do is make EWI admin able to access public by clicking on clicking right there. See what I'm going to click? That will make public read writable by the user called EWI admin, which happens to be the administrator, which happens to be me, as I create the users. So keep in mind that I'm going to be creating the users by importing a file. And the file has to be of a certain format. That's why I use a spreadsheet to create that file, because then after I create it on a spreadsheet, all I have to do is copy and paste it into a text file, a blank text file, and then save it. So when I click on EWI, oh, now I'm going to sign into the cloud through the with using EWI admin. I have done that before, but I want to, you could say, enable cloud access. So now the administrator will have access to the folder called public. And that's just showing that you will now have access to your folders through a phone or through a laptop when you go to mycloud.com. So let's see what happens. See if I can sign in to mycloud.com. So I go to mycloud.com, right? I click on sign in. I type in the credentials and I sign in. Let's see if I have gained access to public, to the folder public. I think in public you can store music, videos, pictures, and throw them on TV if you connect. See, when you click on public, you can sort things in by folders, by pictures, or by movies, by videos. So this is by folders. You can look at music, pictures, or videos. That's like one way of looking at it. Of course, all this is blank. I mean, the folders have been created, but there's nothing in them. So it's boring right now. So what will I do now? I still have to show you how I want to show you how I create the users and shares. I haven't created any yet, except that I have gained access to a folder using the administrator, EWI admin. But let me take a look at what's in storage. Oh, so that's the device. It's a MyCloud OS 5 is the operating system. I think it's a PR 4100. I think PR means professional. I'm not sure what 4100 means. Maybe it's because it's got 4 hard drives. There's 2 gigabytes each. But I think it's maybe there's more. There's 4 hard drives, but I think there's 8 hard drives. They're mirrored in a RAID so that if one of them fails, the other one kicks in, right? But so 4 times 2 is 8, but there's only showing like 5.88 terabytes. So we're losing a big chunk of storage. I don't know why. It's called RAID 6 also. It's showing how many terabytes. Uh, how much is that? I can't read. I'm looking at this through a Vegas Pro video editor, and I'm creating an audio track. So now I'm gonna show you the tab called Settings in my dashboard in my cloud, and here I can change the name of the device. Before it was called something else, but I changed it to N1, and here I can set the time. I can use a website that sets the time automatically for me. I'm not using Macs, so I can delete this. I can turn this off, Mac backups. So I click on that, and it's done. No. No, tú eres un ladrón. Network profile. Okay. Now I'm going to show you where I can set the static IP address. So ever since I got set up with this NAS, I've been using the IP address of ending in .30. So if I were, there's been a few times where I had to reformat everything, start all over again. So when I did that, I restored everything back to factory stage or status, or and then when that happens, I have to go back in here and set the static IP address. It by default it puts it into a dynamic IP address. So I have to go in here and set a static IP address. I think it's somewhere around there where I said make it a static IP address. You probably saw it. I can't read it very well right now. It looks very blurry. So now I'm going to, I noticed earlier, about 5 minutes ago, when I was looking at this Word document, that I had made a mistake.
I have signed into MyCloud, and now I will move through a few of the major pages to show what I have by clicking on the tabs. From left to right they are Home, Users, Shares, Apps, Cloud Access, Storage, Settings. The most important condition to note is that Users is starting with a clean slate, except for one user called UEadmin, and Shares is starting with a share called Public that seems to be automatically created and cannot be deleted, it seems. Now I go to the Users page to import the user's file named usersStage01.txt.
Oh, there's the mistake. Well, it's not a serious mistake. It's just that I haven't realized the mistake yet. Maybe. Oh, right here I'm gonna show you what happens if I click there. Hit. This is one way to create users automatically. I think it creates users and gives them kind of simple names like user 01, user 02, and so on. However you want to uh, describe them or something. You tell it how many users you want to create, and the prefix. I imagine if you say you want to create 9 users, then it would create user 1, user 2, all the way to user 9. But if you want to create 10 users, then it'll create them user 01, user 02 to user 10. I think. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But I think that's what I would hope they would do. Mm, I don't know. Maybe you can specify that somewhere. Hmm. I could try that. And then after I do it, I can delete them. Yeah. So I think I'm going to show you in a little while uh, the name of the file. I'm going to go fetch it. Yeah, when I when I want to import that file, I would click there, and then I would select that to overwrite in case there was a file that I had uploaded previously. Then I upload the files through this button, and then when I click on it, I can select it. Oh, open. And when I open it, I start off with the lowest number if I haven't started already. So I'm on stage 01. I haven't done stage 01 yet. And I have to run each stage twice. So this is the first pass of stage 01. I can look and take a look at what's in the first user. The user is Alvaro, and he has read-write access to the following items. And he's denied access to so many items, and he has read-only access to so many items, to the items given. So I think I'm going to show you, like I stated earlier, in the documentation that I had it read by a voice. I was going to show you that each user gets access to so many folders, where it says read write. It gets access to those 4 folders. A folder of the same name as the user, because when you create a user, it creates a folder of the same name. So I'm giving it read write access to itself, and so on. So that was the first user, right? And I could look at others, but I won't, because I'm pretty sure they all were done correctly, because I had tested this 3 or 4 times before.
Now I go to the users page to import the user's file named userstage01.txt.
Oh, there's the...
I can show that the content about to be imported is the same found on the spreadsheet corresponding to the stage that is used.
I haven't yet realized that the name of the file that I'm going to import is referenced incorrectly in this Word document, because I had since changed that name that I'm about to fix. I see, oh my gosh, I got the name wrong. What is the name? Let's go to files and see. Copy paste it.
Go to the users page to import the user's file named import_users_list_stage01.txt.
That's the correct name.
I can show that the content about to be imported is the same found on the spreadsheet corresponding to the stage that is used to create that stage of an import file. I can show where I upload the import file and where the table representing the import file content is ready to be applied. I can then verify that the users will be given access to their respective shares correctly. When I am satisfied that every user is to be given access to their proper shares in one of 3 possible ways, as either read-write, read-only, or denied access, according to my intentions, then I can apply that set of instructions given in the import users list file. After I apply the import file, I can go to examine the users view and the shares view to verify that all previous users and their settings were not destroyed, but that the new user and the new share was added, and that the permissions were granted correctly.
So it's kind of hard and rather boring to verify that the users were imported correctly. But on the first pass, they are created. See, I'm going to apply, and they do get created. See, it says uploading or something like that, or updating. So there on the left side you can see that users have been created, but right now I'm showing the admin. Because the users are brand new, the admin is not able to look what's inside them. Now I'm going to look at the first user, and also the first user doesn't get access to anything except maybe himself. Well, that was a share. Now that's the first user. Now the first user did get access to himself. The second the second one shows that the user on the top left is getting access to the share of the same name. He's getting read-write access, but everything else that user doesn't get access to. He's denied access. But there's a problem with that. That's not what I want, because I want the user to get read-only access to certain things and read-write access to a few other things. For example, I want him to get read access to ops share. It's there somewhere. And I want him to get read-only access to other shares. But it's not working, but there's no need to fear, because that is easily fixed by running the file twice. That means that the first time it only has enough time to create the users. It doesn't have enough time to set the permissions of the users, because it's all done instantaneously. So when you tell it, okay, set this share to be read-write accessed by the user, what if that share hasn't been created yet? So it can't do that. So it fails to set the accessibility of certain shares because they haven't been created yet. But now that they've gotten created, then now I can go through it a second time, and you'll see that the second time it will fix things. Let me see if I can explain it in the document I'm about to read. I'm actually having it read by Word.
I now show in the shares page that the permission to the shares is incomplete, and that in the users page, the users do not have the permissions to the shares the way that I want is given in the import file. Now I will remedy the discrepancy.
So I'm going to show the discrepancy or the incompleteness when I go to shares. Okay, I went to shares. Now I'm going to examine a particular share. Let's examine, let's see, which one should I examine? Let me close my eyes and examine any of them, because they're all shares. In the share view, all of them are treated like shares. So when I select any of those shares, I want to see who gets access to the share I have selected. So I'm going to select one of those shares. Maybe I'll select that one. So I have selected that share, and then I scroll down and see who gets access to that share. Oh, I only have one user getting access to it. But that's not right. I want other users to get at least read-only access, but I want to keep one user having the complete access to it. So that means that the first pass of importing the file only created the shares, but it didn't have time to set the permissions to those shares, because how can you set a permission to something that doesn't exist? So that means that when it's run, it's only able to create. It can't set a permission to something that's not created. So it tries to set a permission, but it can't find it. So in a sense, you could think that it takes a millisecond to create a share. But while it's creating it, it's already tried to set accessibility to that share. But that share doesn't exist yet. So when it's done trying, it fails. It failed to set the accessibility of a share because it didn't exist yet. So
now I will remedy the discrepancy between what I want and what was produced by running the import file again. This second pass of the same file, I can show, will fix the incompleteness because the users get what they need, and the shares are accessible by the users in the correct way, as given in the import file.
Okay.
Now I can run the same process, but with a new import file that I call usersStage02.txt, which can...
I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, I see that it's that stage 02 is not the right name for it. So I go to the folder where I have that file and copy and paste it to replace what I have there. So now I'm going to paste it right over what I highlighted there. So I've fixed the error in the document. It's a minor error, but it still means something. I'm going to put it in quotes. Let's see, what else am I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to delete the previous name. So now that is the correct name for that file that I'm going to import. But before I import it, I have to finish running the first file that I ran. I have to run it twice. The first time I ran it, it only created the users and the shares. So now I'm going to run it again, and that'll produce the permissions to those shares. So here it is. I'm clicking the place where I import the file. I have to click the button on the right, and I have to make sure I overwrite, so that should be check marked. Otherwise, it won't do anything. Maybe it'll duplicate some things. I haven't tried to see what happens. It messes things up. I know that. Okay, I have attached stage 1. I'm not done with stage 1. So all the information is the same. It's just writing over the same stuff. But since I've already created the users and the shares, running it a second time will set the shares properly. It will set, let's see, who gets to write to this particular share? So I click on a share and I see, these users get to, there's one user that gets to write to that share. Carlos user gets to write to that share. And another user only gets to read it. Read that share. Hmm. So I know it's pretty boring stuff, but if you want to manage a, a team of users and you want to make sure some users don't get access to certain shares, then this is what you have to do. So, for example, when I look at this share that I selected, I expect to see that that user has access to it. And nobody else. But when I look at that share, I see those users get access to it. I can't read what the accesses are, but you can see on the left column is the users, and then on the right there's three possibilities. There was read write, and in the middle read only, and in the right is denied access. Now I'm going to look at the user. This is like a user view. So you select a user on the upper left and you scroll down and you see what that user gets access to. So that user gets access to all these folders. See the ones that are activated with the read write. Those are the ones that user can create new information and save it in those folders. But the symbol that looks like an eye, that's read only. So those users can only read, can't write to those folders. And then of course the far right is denied access. Now I'm going to see what I'm going to do next. Let's see what I'm going to try to do next. I think I proved to a certain extent that it worked. That by running it twice, it fixes everything. It sets everything up correctly. And what I'm going to do next.
Same process, but with a new import file that I call import_users_list_stage02.txt, which contains the same previous stage's number of users and shares, but has increased the users and shares by one user and one share.
Okay.
Run the process with the new file. I can verify.
Maybe I should go show you the spreadsheet. I want to show you what I have prepared for stage 02. I'm looking at stage 01 right now because I can tell because I only have 2 users. Those are the ones in yellow in the top with the password highlighted. The ones that say password for the password are not going to be handed out. And besides, if somebody signs in that way, there's nothing to see because the information has been blocked. So it's a useless user because that user is actually going to be used not as a user, but as a share, as a folder. So each user that you create, you're also creating its folder of the same name. But if you want to uh, re what is it? Repurpose a user into a folder, what you do is block access. Access deny that user to everything else, including himself. Then that user becomes a useless user, but that user is useful because now it's just a regular folder that the actual users on this sheet. There's 3 users. The first 3 rows are in column A. Those are the names of the users. They have their password. They sign in with that username, and then in the column D as in dog, column E as in elephant, and column F as in Florida, I define what folders those users get or not get, what folders they have access to or denied access to. So when I copy and paste that information from the spreadsheet, paste it into a text file, that's what I get. I already did that. I'm just showing you what I got. So now let's go back to the Word document, I think. Oh no, let's go back to the dashboard. So maybe I might want to make sure. Or let's import that file. I'm going to import the stage 02 file. So I'm going to click upload, and I look for it in my folder of files. I look for the one that ends in 02 because now I'm doing stage 2. Stage 02 is ready for liftoff. So I got it ready, and now I applied. So now it's loaded. It's loaded, and stage 2 has a new user, Camilo _user. And let's see what I see in there for that, for a particular item. Like for example, for this one, I can see the name, the read write, the read only, and the deny access folders for that user or share. So that one gets it's hard to highlight, but from there to the end of the line maybe is for the read write. From there to the end of the line is deny access, and so on. In the next line it says quotas. That I'm going to leave them all at 20 gigabytes. Just for starters. I can adjust them later. Maybe somebody creates a lot of content, so I have to give them more space. Hmm. So I imported the file, been, but I'm going to do it again because now I've created one more user. I've created Camilo, and you can see that Camilo is is not only in the number in the users but in the shares. Camilo is 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 treated, so every user that you create can be treated as a user and as a share. So it'll show up in both views. So I'm going to pass it again a second time because that'll fix the discrepancy. I didn't show you the discrepancy, or I didn't point it out, but there was a discrepancy just like in the first stage. The first time you import users, it it doesn't have a chance to set the permissions. So I have to run it again, and now it sets the permissions correctly. Because if I look at a share or a user, it fixes it. But right now, okay. So what am I looking at now? Hmm. Okay, now I'm going to look at shares. So what share am I going to look at? Hmm. I didn't catch. I didn't have. I didn't see what share he selected. I selected. Is what I'm looking at is of not of a high resolution, and also it's not presenting me with all the frames. It's just presenting me with a few of the frames. Otherwise, it would use too much resources to do that. Oh, I wasn't paying attention to what's going on. Now I don't know if I'm on what what stage am I on? It looks like I'm on stage 3 because I briefly showed you that stage 2 was successful. No, now stage 3, I think it's going to add the user Christian, both user and share. When I hit apply. But again, I have to run the file twice because the first time it only creates the new users and shares. It doesn't have time to set the accessibility because it does two things at the exact same time. It creates and it sets, but if it tries to set something that doesn't exist, it'll be done. And so the setting is gone. It it can't go back. It can't wait and say, wait, let me see, let me wait. That could be a bug. Maybe I should tell them that there should be a delay in the creation of the users and the setting of the users. So that's why I have to import the same file twice, because the first time I run it, it doesn't have time to get both things done. It's not given time to do the setting. It should the setting should be delayed. It should be forced to wait for all the users to be created and then go through and set the permissions. That gives me an idea. I'm going to create an import file that merely creates all the users and shares, and then I run a second file that sets permissions to those users and shares in certain ways. That's something for another day.
After I run the process with the new file, I can verify that it worked according to what was indicated in the file's spreadsheet. Since it also will be shown to be incomplete, I will show that I run the file one more time. The second pass of that file will fix the missing share permissions, and the result will be confirmed to be correct as specified in the spreadsheet for that file. Now that I have gone through one stage, I will do the same for every stage, until I get done with stage 6.
So now I've I wasn't paying attention to what I did, but I'm showing the spreadsheet, and it looks like I'm on stage 3 perhaps. Maybe 4. I think I'm on stage 3, because I'm gonna point out the difference between stage 3 and stage 4 is that in stage 4 I create a special purpose folder, that one that I'm highlighting, HR XSH and HRSH. This is the XSH is X means exclusive. That means that there will be a user that has exclusive right to that folder. Actually, several users will have exclusive right to that folder, whereas the one with sh only, no x, that means there will be a lot of people able to read only to it, will have read only access to it. But there will be a few people that will have read write access to it. So it's kind of a semi-private. It's kind of a share folder with several users being able to do teamwork on it. You could think of it as a group folder, a group share. Now I'm highlighting I was highlighting the folder that was a share, and I applied. That means I have just finished the first pass of that new folder. So I'm on stage 04. I've just done run it once. I'm gonna run it again, but I want to show you that the first time I run it, it's not gonna be working correct. It created the users, but they're not enabled. You could say that they're not accessible. Actually, they are fully accessible. They're treated like public. But I don't want that. I want to have certain degrees of accessibility. I want three different possibilities: denied access, read only, or read write. So it didn't work the first time, so I have to run it again. So I make sure I overwrite. So check mark overwrite if. Oh, I have to select it. Didn't I overwrite? Oh, I'll have to look at the video carefully because it looks like I didn't overwrite. I'm showing that I'm looking at the same old file. This is the second time I run it. And updating, uploading, so then I'm going to inspect. I'm going to look at the user, the share as a user. I think I already showed you that it worked. Now I'm going to look at the share HR, scroll down and see that it worked. So I get a variety of settings. That means it's working. That's just like a quick view that it worked. And I can verify more carefully, and I see, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that makes sense. I want this user to have this kind of access to the share, and so it worked. So I could look at other shares more thoroughly and other users more thoroughly, but I'm doing a quick view of it, and I confirmed that it worked. Now I think I'm gonna go for stage 05. Stage 05, I'm going to add the user Enrique, I believe his name. So I scroll down and look for Enrique. Where is he? don't know. Maybe it's Vladimir. So I'm going to run it a second time because I showed you that it didn't finish a particular setting. It was kind of disabled. So I'm running the same file for a second time, and when I click apply, that'll set the shares correctly, so that when I look at for a particular user, say that one, I should see what looks to be random pattern, but it's actually meaningful. And then when I look at shares, I also see some meaning, some sense, some reasoning behind the settings. And so don't forget to overwrite. Yes, I'm not overwriting. Oh, there it is. So sorry, I'm a little tired and I almost fell asleep. But what am I showing you now? Uh, network users? No. Users. I'm going to add, I think I'm going to run it again, unless it's a new stage. I'm going to run whatever stage I was doing again, maybe? Or is this the last stage? Maybe I'm going to run that one. Or could it be that one? Maybe I had to check to see what stage am I on, because it's easy to lose track of things. So I'm going to select the stage that I'm on. I can't read it. Oh, I missed it. It's very poor resolution what I'm looking at. But the so I have to guess oftentimes. So I ran it once. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to maybe show you that it didn't do it completely. It only created the the new shares. The old shares are still there. Or maybe it did create everything. Maybe this was the second pass. I don't know. I lost track. Could you tell if I ran this file twice, you could have seen it if you remembered the name of the first pass of that file and then seen it again. Then this is the second pass. Or it could be that this is the first pass. No, this looks like a second pass because you can see that it looks random. The blue squares, they're all over the place, kind of, with the middle one being read only and the one on the far left being read write and the far right being denied access. And I'm looking at shares. What a particular share. It had a variety of accessibilities to that share. Different users having different accessibility to that particular share that highlighted up on the upper left side, the upper left column, showing you the share list of shares created so far. So this may be the last stage. I don't know. Or they have a lot to go. Oh, I've been running like an hour and 40 minutes almost. No, it looks like an hour and 35 minutes. No, maybe it's an hour and 39 minutes. Like, oh, there I see it. An hour and 37 minutes. And I got looks like I ran this for 2 hours. So I got 20 minutes more to go. So I'm going to read off what
I ran through 6 stages successfully, each one requiring 2 passes for its file to work to get all the permissions done correctly. And now I can compose the 7th stage, perhaps adding 1 more user and 1 more share to the mix, with the correct permissions given to the users to either access as read-write or read-only, and for some to deny access of the new user or the new share.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how I create a new stage. So I'm going to go to the spreadsheet. And what I'm going to do is go to the last stage, stage 06. I'm going to copy it. Make a copy of it and place it right after the stage. Create a copy and boom, it creates a copy. But then I'm going to rename it stage 07. And now, of course, I'm going to modify the stage to make it a little bit different from stage 06. I want stage 07 to maybe have 1 more user or maybe 1 more special purpose share. What should I do? I think I'll create a special purpose share or folder. Maybe I could create a folder for the IT people the IT department, which consists of me. And so I'm going to place it right around there. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste that row in the same place and then go through and change the name. Hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to see what maybe I could block, deny access to that share everywhere. Hmm. Well, not everywhere. I want to deny access to it. I want users that are not in the IT department to be denied access to that share called IT. ITXSH, right? That's the one I'm working on. So see if I can copy that so I don't have to type it in. Because I'm going to type it in a lot of times. So I might as well copy and paste it where I need it to go. So I'm going to highlight it and then Control C to copy. I could delete it now that I got it in the clipboard. I go over, so I go to the first user. I want that user be denied access to that folder, IT folder, and also that user. I want all the users to be denied access to that folder. Mm-hmm. Mm. And it looks like I would want that folder to be denied access because the actual user that's going to have access to it is not there yet. That would be me. As a user, I'm not there yet. So I'm going to deny access to it. I'm going to deny access to the folder IT. I need to put that folder everywhere that it needs to be denied access to. So all the users are going to get access denied to that folder. So I'm having a hard time copying and pasting it. I think I'm going to try to grab the whole cell and paste it from there down. I was having a hard time trying to, bring it down to copy. So I can't do it that way. I just have to click on a cell and click Control V as in Victor, and then keep doing that all the way down. Control V, enter. Control V, enter. Control V, enter all the way down. So, uh, so now, so now what do I have? I say, maybe I shouldn't try to do too much with this stage 07. Let's see if it'll work. So I'm gonna highlight from one corner to the other and click on Control C as in copy. Control C copies, and then I'm going to paste it into a new file. Well, I'm going to open the one of the files, and just later on I'll rename it. I'm trying to open it and I can't, because when I double click it highlights it instead of opening it. I have to double click quicker, I guess. Okay, there we go. Then I highlight everything, then Control V as in Victor, pastes, then save as, and then select one of them, and then but change the number to from 06 to 07. It should add the extension. Let's see if it does. Oh. Okay, now I'm going to sign in to my dashboard because I got logged out for lack of activity. I don't know how many minutes it takes to get logged out. Could be 5 minutes. So I'm going to import that file I just created through this link down at the bottom. Add users. So I'm going to click import and select overwrite and click that button to browse to the file that I want to import. It should end in the word stage -07. It's at the top, right? There it is. I've got it ready to load. It's loading. Then I could verify that everything's the same, except I'm adding a new share called IT underscore XSH. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah. See, I'm denying access to it. Now I'm uploading. So when it's done, I can verify to make sure it created the user that I added. I think it's that one, right? And when I scroll down, I see that it's it's pale looking. So it created it, but the share by the same name is not available. And when I go to shares, the share view, if I select that that share and who gets access to that share, and if I scroll down, I get something that's not right. Nobody got access to it. So that means I gotta run that file again to fix that. So I select overwrite and I go browse to that file, the same file that I just ran. It has to be the same name, so I select the one that ends in 07. That's the one I want. I had run it before. Okay, I had to take a look at it again, and now I know what I am doing. So I went over what happened, if I'm not mistaken. What I do from here on out is see, oh my gosh, this stage 7 messed things up. So what I took a wild guess. I don't know how I came about with that, guessing it that way. But I said, how do I undo this? Oh, I'll run stage 6. Overwrite stage 7 with stage 6. And that should fix the problem. But right now I'm looking at the users and the shares, see what got messed up. Something's got messed up, some things didn't, looks like. So at some point I'm going to run stage 6 after I look things over. I determined that, well, let's just run stage 6 again, see what happens. So I'm going to go to I can't guess what I'm going to do next. It looks like I'm looking over what got messed up and what didn't. So, or maybe I already fixed it. Maybe I'm looking at the fix. Or maybe I'm looking at stage 6. Or maybe I'm going to run stage 6 and that'll fix it. Maybe this is it. Okay, I think this is stage 6 that I'm going to get. I'm going to look for stage 06. And it's right around there. Or is it there? There. Yes, I think that's stage 6. Can I read it? It's hard to read it. Man, that's weird. It went from... Okay, I'm going to look at the shares. Come on, come on. I think I clicked on a user. Or is that a share? Yeah, I think that's a share. I'm looking at a particular share and I'm checking to see if it looks okay. And I see, oh yeah, that share it looks okay. The users that I want to have access to that share looks correct. So maybe I'll look at another example to see that it that it's that it makes sense. Let's see, am I gonna click on that one next? See what happens. Now I'm looking at. Looks like I'm looking at users. Okay, I'm gonna look at a particular user. Let's look down for select a particular user. Maybe in reference to the previous share. And I look down and see that it looks okay. That's good. So maybe I fixed it. Because before this, when I did stage 7, it messed things up a little bit. And I don't know why. Did I do something wrong in share 07? I don't think so. But I'll have to try different things to try to get share 07 to work. So from going from share 06, which I'm at now, I did get to share 07, but I sort of undid it by running share 06. So if that means, that might be a good rule to have in mind. If you mess up with running a stage, I called it share 06. I should call it stage 06. So I messed up stage 07, so I ran stage 06, the previous one that I know works, and that fixed whatever thing messed up things by running stage 07. So I just ran stage 06 about 8 minutes ago, or less, maybe 6 minutes ago, and that fixed things. So I'm pretty happy and amazed, but puzzled. I have to ask myself why and where did it go wrong, and why. I think I know why it fixed it, because when I go back to a previous stage, I select overwrite, so everything that has the same username, it gets overwritten. So running stage 6 overwrites all the users except the new user or new share that I created with stage 07. So stage 06 was able to fix the problems created by stage 07. Sorry for, it seems pretty complicated and difficult to express, but that's the way it goes. That's what's happened so far. So I'll stop it here, and I'll see if I can render it and upload it to my channel, Hyro Tech Support. Thank you. Bye.